We've got some bad news on Shane McClanahan. Let's discuss on Fantasy Baseball today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Wednesday, August 16th. I am Frank Samfeld, joined by Scott White. And unfortunate news, Shane McClanahan will undergo Tommy John surgery that will likely keep him out all of next season as well. It's a huge loss for fantasy baseball and for the Rays. This is someone who's been ranked inside of our top 5 starting pitchers for most of the season. I don't know that there's much to add on McClanahan himself, Scott, but is this something that might deter you from drafting or targeting Rays pitchers in the future, because they've just lost so many pitchers to injury over the past couple of years? Your thoughts?
So I don't think so, is the short answer. The longer answer is I'm kind of biased against Rays pitchers already because they handled them so unconventionally. A lot of short outings, a lot of, the starting pitcher following the opener, especially when they're young and unproven. And so they don't get a chance at quality starts. They don't get a chance to build up the kind of innings necessary for them to make a big fantasy impact, even if the skills level is high. So, in a way, it's kind of ironic that this is happening to the Rays because they've been about as careful with young pitchers as an organization could be. I think a lot of the injury history may have to do with the kind of pitchers they target. A lot of very hard throwers. I mean, Shane McClanahan could make the case he's the hardest throwing left-handed starting pitcher in history, and he's not a big-bodied guy, so it's a lot to ask his frame to take on. But it could just be luck of the draw too, even though it's a high percentage of the Rays starting pitcher. The actual number of pitchers who've gotten hurt on that team is low because you only go through so many starting pitchers. And so it may just be a stretch of bad luck. And I don't think it will add to my already existing bias against Rays pitchers in fantasy.
I think one very interesting name for next year will be Shane Baz, who is coming back from Tommy John surgery, which he had last year. So he is going to have so much time to recover and be ready for the 2024 season. But I have a feeling Tampa Bay is going to handle him pretty cautiously as well. Let's fire up the drop-o-meter for Cristian Javier. He was at the Marlins 4 2/3 innings, 5 runs allowed, 4 of those were earned. He is now up to a 4.49 ERA on the year, a 1.23 whip. Scott, 1, we should not be dropping Cristian Javier anywhere. 10, he should be dropped in all leagues. Where do you lie?
So I'm going to say 3. I can understand the case for dropping him in a really shallow league. Because, it's been a while since he's been usable. But I don't think any of my own leagues, my shallowest league is probably 250 players rostered. I don't think I'd be willing to drop him in any of those leagues. There were some small signs of him coming around prior to this recent start against the Marlins. I know the results weren't good, but it was really a middle stretch of the season where his swinging strike rate just collapsed. He went through a stretch of 7 starts where only one of them did he have double-digit swinging strikes. Since that 7-start stretch, he had delivered 5 straight with double-digit swinging strikes, including one with 21 swinging strikes. And his opponent batting average during that 5-start stretch with the swinging strikes back up, 174, very Javier-like. It's just his walk rate during that 5-start stretch was so high that it overshadowed whatever progress he was making. The start against the Marlins, was pretty much bad in every respect. So I'm not sure how to fit it into that theory. But I do think there's a lot of upside for Javier, and I don't think all hope is lost. I'm not sure he'll be able to turn it around this season, but I think there's enough of a chance that I'd rather hold on to him.
The 3 waiver wire pitchers that I brought up on the full-length podcast, Logan Allen, Graham Ashcraft, Kyle Hendricks, I think they're fine. I don't think we're dropping Cristian Javier for any of those 3. But what if you do play in a shallower league and Gavin Williams is still out there, Scott? Is that a swap you would make? Cristian Javier for Gavin Williams?
I'm going to guess, in most cases, I could find somebody on your roster that I'd rather drop for Gavin Williams than Javier. But if you're asking me, it's a 1-player league. I only have 1 roster spot to fill. Would I rather be Gavin Williams or Cristian Javier? I'd rather be Gavin Williams.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.